Hi all, welcome to Pagan Perspective. This is Megan, aka Severe Sweet. Today is Friday, and I'm doing this video kind of quick. I've had a pretty busy week. So, Happy New Year! We are in 2017, and yeah, aloha. So, this week we are talking all about kind of the idea of has our practice changed, particularly the labels that we use because of our beliefs changing. So, the question asker talks about being Wiccan for a while and identifying as Wiccan, but then having their beliefs change and now identifying more as eclectic pagan. Primarily because they don't really do a lot of the Wheel of the Year stuff. Like for them, the Esbats and Sabbats aren't something that they do. Mainly, it seems like because of time and just forgetting and things like that, but also it just sounds like they're not as connected with them, which is fine. So, me, has that happened? Well, so as I've mentioned before, I'm a hereditary. That's who I am. That has never changed. So that is something from the time I was a child to now. It's hasn't changed and isn't going to change. So I mean, I guess I'll never say never, but I have no intention of it changing and no desire for it to change. So I guess that's where I'm at. I feel very comfortable with my belief system. Now, that doesn't mean, though, that things don't fluctuate and shift. I go through periods where I celebrate really heavily things around the Wheel of the Year, and then other periods where I don't. For me, one of the most important parts is feeling safe. I need to feel safe and connected to wherever I'm living or wherever I am in order to be able to perform ritual. So typically, my ritual will only consist of meditation and mind ritual versus, having full on outside, candles lit, everything ritual. Those I save for places that I feel really safe and I feel at home. And I don't always feel that everywhere I go. I tend to be a little bit of a nomad and I do move around a lot. And so there are sometimes when I'm living in a place and I'm not feeling safe or secure, then I tend to just meditate and I do inside ritual versus the full blown everything and outside and all of that. So that would be kind of my answer to that question. But I don't think of that as my beliefs changing. It's more about they ebb and flow with what's going on in my environment at the time. So for me, even if I'm not doing all the bells and whistles, it doesn't mean that the time of year isn't sacred to me or isn't important in my heart. It just means that where I'm at in my life right now, it might not be the best time. I might not feel very safe, or I might not have the money or something like that. So, those are all things that that I think come into play. I mean, for this year's holiday, we had to travel back to New England, and that was really hard. And trying to get settled in a new place in Hawaii has been really, really hard. I've tried doing a couple different things between my henna, but also I have a sticker shop, a geeky sticker shop, Sticker Geek Designs, just because I'm a total geek, on Etsy. And, trying to get that up and running and trying to, find other ways to make money has been, definitely difficult. And so, we didn't give gifts to each other this holiday, which is something that, was a little bit different than what I've done in the past. And, there are just things that will happen during the year that might alter how you represent or how you celebrate the different times, but they don't necessarily mean that your belief changed about them. So I think that would probably be my distinction. It's not that those times of year aren't important to me or that I don't highly value them. It's just my ability to be able to celebrate them waxes and wanes, basically. So sometimes, some years, I'm able to go all out. Like, for example, I mentioned on here Samhain. So last year, we had this gorgeous backyard space, and I had, like 15 people or something over for Samhain dinner, and it was huge. We had tents set up outside. I made like over like 12 or 13 dishes. It was insane. It was huge. We had a big fire outside. It was amazing. And this year, we had two friends over for a little like Samhain giving, in between Samhain and Thanksgiving, dinner. And it was small and intimate and it was lovely. It just wasn't what it was last year. And that's not to say that one is better than the other or that the time of year doesn't mean as much to me as it did from the year before. It just means our means just means our means. It just means that our situation is different this year, and what we're able to do is more or less depending on the year. So that's pretty much it. But for me, the beliefs hasn't changed. I think if your beliefs do change though, and you want to find a new label that more suits those beliefs, then by all means, go for it. I mean, this is the way I look at labels, and I think I've said this before on here too. I believe that labels have a place. My belief on labels are it's something that the person gives to themselves. It's not something for us to be giving to other people. The label is there for you to self-identify, to make it more easy for you to find your niche. Basically, if you feel like you need the label in order to distinguish yourself, to give yourself some sort of framework, when we tell people things like brainstorm, right? Brainstorm any idea in the world. Well, that's a lot of ideas. That's a lot of stuff. And people tend to do better when we give them a little bit of framework. They don't want to be smothered by it. No one wants to be given the precise guidelines of exactly how to brainstorm something. But they do want to be given a little bit of something. So, for example, brainstorm an idea for a backyard party during the summer. Then you can brainstorm all sorts of different things. But it gives you a little bit of framework so that you're not just brainstorm anything. I mean, the possibilities are too endless. We need a little bit of structure to be able to wrap our minds around all of those possibilities. And so that's why, I like having labels, because it allows us to kind of wrap our head around, in general, what we are. It doesn't mean that's all we are. It just means it identifies a certain aspect of ourselves that can make it easier for us to kind of live within our own skin, so to speak. However, the most important thing I've always said on this channel is that it's really important not to give other people labels and only use the label for them that they have self-identified with. That's really, really important. So I'm not going to go, look at Kara and say, Kara, you're such a redhead. She doesn't identify as a redhead. I don't believe. But that's we can't be putting labels on other people. So, in fact, labels can be positive and negative. But for this purposes, I love the idea of relabeling yourself eclectic pagan. I think, for what you're feeling at this time, go for it. It sounds awesome. It sounds like it's more suiting to what you currently believe and what you're currently practicing. So more power to you. That sounds awesome. I think that's probably about it. I mean, for me, identify as a hereditary witch. Sometimes the level in which I celebrate holidays can wax and wane depending on my financial situation. But at the same time, my beliefs haven't changed in that. And so my label hasn't changed in any of that. So yeah, so I think that's probably it. I'm going to try and keep it as short and sweet as I can today. But that's about all I got to say. And I hope you guys have a fabulous week. And as always, blessed be and aloha.